Welcome back, Patriots, for a Wednesday episode of the Bald Brad Show. It is officially October 29th, and Donald Trump is still by far the best president in American history. This episode is sponsored by baldbrad.com. If you haven't headed over there yet, well, what are you doing? We have a blog where you can read a bunch of stuff, get my opinions on the socialist threat, Zoran Mamdani's agenda that will destroy the New York City landscape, the people, everything. We got how the CIA sold America a lie. We have that one for you as well. And the looming immigration crisis, Europe's warning for America. The UK has completely fallen and collapsed. And we also have a book called Trojan Horse, How the Left is Destroying America. It is a great book. It's a timely book, and that's why we wrote it. I wrote it. And you're going to learn how the anti-police movement is really a blueprint for social chaos, the less calculated use of race to divide the nation, the push for socialism disguised as compassion, and how indoctrination in schools is reshaping the minds of the next generation, followed by the mainstream media silencing dissent and spreading propaganda, along with a really good chapter at the end of the book talking about abortion, where I take you back to like ancient times. We're talking Egypt and before, all the way to current day, and how culture and societies have navigated that idea of abortion. So if you click on this right here, it'll take you to Amazon. Heck, you can find it at Barnes & Noble, not in store, but online. And you can also find it sometimes in Walmart, surprisingly. That always shocks me when I hear that people are still finding it in Walmart. And lastly, we have a Bald Brad store. If you want to support our merch, it's actually really comfortable. I have a shirt. The lady has a shirt. And a bunch of other people have shirts and hoodies. It's getting winter, folks. I like simple. I am a simple man. But if you want to go crazy, we also have the logos on the back. And we have about almost 40% of our audience, both on TikTok, Rumble, and YouTube. It's really odd to have that many women, by the way, joining a conservative male kind of dominated space. Got no problems with that. Love having y'all here. We do have, I got to cater to the ladies. We got women's classic tees here. And trust me, they fit the body, folks. They look good. They look really good. Well. Let's jump into the news then, because we got a lot of it. And there's a lot of things we didn't cover on Dark MAGA yesterday. Trump administration has hit a deportation milestone. This is something we always want to highlight, something we always want to take a little peek under the hood for. President Donald Trump has deported more than 527,000 illegal immigrants from the country, the Department of Homeland Security announced Tuesday. At the current pace, federal authorities could deport 600,000 illegal immigrants by the end of Donald Trump's first year in office. All right, we're going to the chat here. Is everybody happy with that number? You all know my opinion on it. I've given you my opinion on this many of times. I've said it almost every single month. I want to know your opinion now in the chat. Are you content with this number? Like, you're like, yeah, that's where I thought he would be. Or you're like, dude, I thought you're going to be at like 1, 2, 3 million people already. What's going on here? I was told things are going to be crazy. However, it still falls short of Trump administration's lofty goal of deporting 1 million illegal immigrants each year. Last month, acting ICE Director Todd Loynes told the Daily Wire that the agency could still make that happen with its push for illegal immigrants to self-deport. The Trump administration is offering a $1,000 bonus and free flights home to those who choose to leave on their own. Roughly 1.6 million illegal immigrants have already self-deported, according to DHS. Yeah, see, that's what I thought. Okay, all right. Everybody's saying not enough. Yeah, that's what I think too, man. I mean, Tom Homan was like, yeah, we're going to come in here and we're going to just get rid of everybody. It's like, I'm paraphrasing. He didn't really say that, but you understand. Like, this idea that we have, population of our states, man. That is a big issue. And they're saying they're not voting, which we know they are. They're saying they're not giving driver's license, which we know they are. I mean, the lies, they're not taking from Medicare, it's Social Security. Okay, sure, whatever. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, they're not doing all those things. You're right. I think we're going to see our number definitely with the CBP home app and those that decided to leave on their own. Assistant Homeland Secretary Tricia McLaughlin said that just the beginning, President Trump and just the beginning, dude, it's been what month are we in? What do you mean just the beginning? The beginning was in January. And not to mention, you got the big, beautiful bill that's supposed to, jack all this stuff up. What's going on here? Where's our money going? I love Trump. I've always said this, but that doesn't mean that I'm not going to hound things. Politicians are tools, folks. They're there to do what we want them to do. They're tools. That's all it is. My loyalty does not land with anybody other than Christ himself, our Lord and Savior, and my milady, the wife. That's where my loyalty lands. Nowhere else. Illegal aliens are hearing our message to leave now or face the consequences. Migrants are now turning back before they even reach our borders, which is true. Migration through Panama's Darien Gap is down almost 100%. Okay, so I'm not complaining. I mean, look, I got something and I was told something and I'm not getting the thing that I was told necessarily. And I'm going to push back. And I said, look, I'm giving them 2 years on everything. January, so what will that be? January 20th, 2027 was my date, I believe. That's when I expect things to get done big time. We have more illegal immigration news. Let me see if I can find it for all of you really quick. I got to comb through all my stuff. Here we go. No, that's not what I wanted just yet. I apologize. Maybe it was on this tab. Here we go. It kind of overlaps. I mean, illegal immigration, cartel, it's all kind of there. So we have here Trump's war on drugs stops at Mexican border for now. And I wanted to kind of dive a little bit in this because if you notice, Donald Trump is just attacking the boats or the ships, however you want to call it. I mean, there's a difference between a boat and a ship. But, you know, the ones that he's blowing up, you know, he's sending in those missiles and kaboom, we watched multiples of them. But why is he not attacking basically these drug encampments, if that's what you want to call them, in Mexico or South America? Why is he not sending in missiles there? We know where they are. You could see them. Well, somewhere off the coast of Venezuela, a U.S. Navy radar locks onto a fast-moving vessel skimming through the Caribbean. The ship believed to be carrying cocaine bound for the United States. In one of dozens targeted under Washington's revived maritime counter-narcotic campaign, a series of deadly interdictions that have brought the U.S. military's battlefront back to the Western Hemisphere. But as U.S. clamps down at sea, cartels are already adapting. They're going to try and stay alive by moving cargo on aircraft. Oh, baby. Oh, baby. When was the last time we saw a good dogfight? When was the last time we saw the boys strapping the chin strap on and put it on the mask and say, where's Tom? Hell yeah, dude. All right. Well, you know what we're going to see. What are these guys thinking? All right, boys, the boats aren't working. So launch the propeller engines up. We're going to take it to the airs. They're not going to get us there. No joke. I mean, it's not as sophisticated, but it totally reminds me of what the Israelis did with Hamas. When like Hamas was using walkie-talkies to talk. You know what I mean? And they're like, oh, but Mohammed, go blow this shit up, right? And then they blew up the comms with explosives. And then Hamas was like, I think there were cell phones that they blew up, but you know what I mean? And they're looking around at each other like, oh shit, how are we going to talk with each other? How are we going to communicate? They're like, well, let's use pagers. They're not going to think about pagers. So they went and bought a bunch of pagers and blew themselves up. So it's kind of the same. Like I said, it's not as sophisticated, but it's just funny how they're like, yeah, you know, this is going to work out well. They're going to try to stay alive by moving the cargo on aircraft. A senior fellow at the Heritage Foundation and former Navy officer, but it's more expensive and you can't move as much by volume, so it's going to hurt their business model. Sadler said the shift shows how U.S. pressure on maritime smuggles routes is forcing traffickers to find new ways to move their product and new vulnerabilities for Washington to exploit. Yet, just across the Gulf of America, where nearly all of America's fentanyl supply originates, the U.S. presence fades to silence. There are no naval raids off Mexican ports. Do you hear that? This is what we talked about when we started this article. No drone strikes on cartel compounds, which I find odd. No talk of narco targets inside Mexican territory. The fight stops there by design, though. By design. So this is getting interesting. A 2024 Drug Enforcement Administration report found that nearly all the methamphetamines sold in the United States today are manufactured in America. Wow. And it's pure and more potent than in past years. U.S. Customs and Border Protection reported seizing 27,000 pounds of fentanyl. Whoa! That'll kill the entire United States, by the way. Border Patrol agents reported the lowest number of apprehensions in a fiscal year, which is great. And China remains a key source of the precursor chemicals for fentanyl and methamphetamine. But Mexico serves as the main production and trafficking base. But remember, they're doing everything they can about it. You heard it from the president herself. Yeah, she wants to stop this. We're basically at war. And people don't realize this because they don't see it in their everyday life. Maybe other than when somebody gets deleted in their family from a fentanyl overdose or a drug overdose by accident. They're not even a druggie. Maybe they're at a party or something. Yeah, then it will hit you hard. And then you wish it would have never happened. But until then, because people aren't affected by this on a massive scale, nobody really cares. And so they're just going to keep pouring this stuff or bringing it across the border or through the ports or however they're going to do it. And it's just going to keep deleting us in the tune of 100,000 plus people. So I don't know. I thought they were going in with, he said CIA was going down there and taking care of stuff. So I don't know. I hope they are, man. I don't want to see this happening. If Mexico doesn't want to figure it out, we'll figure it out for them. And that's the nice thing about being the dominant strong arm in the entire world. My question is always, what are you going to do about it? And you want to know something? They're not. They're not going to do anything about it. And you know what? Look, if you weren't going to do, look, quite literally, they're not going to do anything about it. But also, you weren't going to do anything about it before. You were just going to continue to let all this drug stuff happen and allow your country to fall apart through crime and these cartels and these gangs and all this other stuff. And that's just how your country is viewed. And that's why people don't want to live there. They'll wave your flag. That's the best they could do, though. See, waving the flag is like shouting, "I love Mexico." No, you don't. No, you don't. You don't love Mexico. Because if you did, you'd live there. It's true. See, you go after the things you love. You go after the things you want and you appreciate and you really love. I know you don't want to admit it, but America's the best. I'll admit it. I live here. This is the reason why I live here. If there was a better place on earth, I'd live there. Now people say, well, Brad, there's better places in America than California. There is. There is. But this is my home. This is my home. There's many places like it, but I'm fighting this war to take my home back, man. It would be different if I had not been here when I've seen a Republican governor. I've seen what the state used to be like. It'd be different. I'm not one of those. See, it's not just Mexico. I'm just using it as an example. There's a lot of countries like this. What people do is they will just flee their country or state, and then they'll just bitch about the state or country of which they left, or they'll reminisce on how great it was. At least I'm trying to change things here. Do you know what I mean? At least I could say that. Like, I'm in the trenches over here trying to make America and the United States and California specifically great again. And how am I doing that? Well, through the show here. Through the show. You could broadcast to... There's more power doing this than there is even serving in government, because you can broadcast this to thousands of people and hundreds of thousands of people. We'll hit 100,000 on TikTok by the end of this year, I think. And I'm going to contact Rumble, man. How is it YouTube we get 100,000? All these other platforms I can hit 100,000 on. By the way, no advertisements even on TikTok, by the way. I just want to point that out there. Zero. Zilch. We should all write an email to Rumble saying, hey, you got to get Bald Brad in the morning slot. Alrighty. Enough of that. But yeah, they don't love Mexico. I love California, folks. It's where my heart's at. And I don't want to see my home destroyed, and I'm not going to give up on it just yet. Just yet. Alrighty. We have other stuff here for you. If you haven't already, hit that like and subscribe button. No, I don't want to read that piece. The gap is tightening between Mamdani, if you're curious, but not much for me to even bother with right now. Oh, yeah. I wanted to show this to you guys yesterday during Dark Maga, but we didn't have time. So we're going to get into it today. CNN commits 2 acts of journalism in the same day. Oh, boy. What could this mean? Yes, we have a video. One moment. Thanks to valiant efforts from our on-air personalities, Casey Hunt and Caitlin Collins managed to deliver 2 acts of actual journalism in the same 24-hour period on 2 different topics. The world's a-changing. I know. Hell has frozen over and they're crawling out. And this has to do with Jasmine Crockett. I don't know if any of you saw this yesterday on your own, because it was making its rounds. The first came on Monday evening from Collins, who was discussing the political hot topic of the day with Representative Jasmine Crockett, who's a crock of you know what, on The Source, and took a moment to fact check the Texas Democrat when she played fast and loose with the context of a statement made earlier in the day by White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt. And I just want to say, for journalism, this is a very, very smart move by Caitlin Collins, because remember, Caitlin Collins, I don't know if she still is CNN's White House correspondent. We still see her in the briefing room. If you're going to back up the White House press secretary who is not in the room with you, this is going to build better graces with you and the White House press secretary, and she might want to take more of your questions. So I'm going to show you what Tim Walz said in the clip of the White House press briefing. Okay, so just to build context before we get to Jasmine Crockett. So here's the clip that she's going to be referring to before we get there.
Not to fund these programs. They are choosing to prioritize. And when the White House press secretary said the top priority is the ballroom, we could not disagree more.
In addition to the ballroom and the Rose Garden patio, is the president looking at any other renovations or significant kind of projects here at the White House?
Not to my knowledge, no. But he's a builder at heart, clearly. And so his heart and his mind is always churning about how to improve things here on the White House grounds. But at this moment in time, of course, the ballroom is really the president's main priority.
They are choosing.
Okay. You got that clip there, okay? So that builds a little bit of context what's going on. Remember, though, Tim Walz said that the White House press secretary said that that's the top priority is the ballroom. So just a lie. Just an outright lie. So Caitlin Collins is here on CNN with Jasmine Crockett, and here's what unfolded there.
Do you believe this will be the week that Congress comes to an agreement here? I have no idea. I mean, you started off talking about the fact that the president is in Japan. The president has time to do everything but what he needs to focus on. In fact, we heard the press secretary.
Why is she bringing up the president? I really, why is she talking about the president right now? This is Congress, lady. He's the executive branch. It had nothing to do with this. It's the Trump. I mean, it is Trump derangement syndrome. I got to get a book on this because, man, it is real. By the way, it is actually a real psychological thing now. They acknowledge it. Man, can you imagine living your life and just blaming everybody else for your problems? And then if it's not everybody else, it's Orange Cheeto Man. Big madman Trump. I got to start. I'm going to go back just a little bit, just a tiny bit.
To do everything but what he needs to focus on. In fact, we heard the press secretary say that his main priority is the ballroom that no one asked for, the ballroom that requires him to destroy historic pieces of the White House. And so it doesn't seem like he's interested.
And that context of the comment from Caroline Leavitt, she was asked if the president was working on any other renovations when it came to the White House, and she was saying his focus was the ballroom. But to your point about what the president said, do you believe this will be?
I've always done this. I give credit where credit's due, even if I'm not a fan of somebody. I don't have to want to be violent against them. I don't have to, dox them. I could just call them out for what they say when it's good and it's bad. Nice job, Caitlin. That's actual journalism right there. Calling somebody out in real time and saying, hey, the context of that was this. That's not true. I would love a little bit more pushback and saying, hey, I'd appreciate if you don't espouse that stuff on my show. That would be nice. But, sometimes you want to stay in people's good graces. So you got Caitlin Collins there. And then we also have, less than 24 hours later, just yesterday, you have Senator Ruben Gallego from Arizona. I have this here for you. Joined host Casey Hunt to discuss the ongoing shutdown. I haven't seen this clip yet, but Casey, can we go to the chat? She's the one that always wears that black leather jacket. Do you think she's going to be wearing the black leather jacket again? Now, I can't beat her up because, look, I wear the same thing every single day practically to work. But The leather jacket's just, it's not working. It's not working. And she pressed him repeatedly on his party's evolving position on keeping the government shuttered in order to leverage political gains. Uh-oh, here we go, baby. Always love clips. Oh, no leather jacket. It's black, though. That's okay.
I think my question is this. I mean, I take your point about these millions of people. The cost of living is incredibly high. But also, Republicans control the White House. They control the Senate. They control the House. And in the past, Democrats, when Republicans have tried to do something like this, Democrats have argued that the norms of our government should be that you negotiate policy outside of a government shutdown. I mean, I have over many years covering Washington, people have said that over and over and over again. And now I have neighbors in the D.C. area who are both employed by the federal government who are having to use food banks. We are heading into Thanksgiving. Why is it suddenly right to do it this way and to do it for this long when it didn't used to be the right way in Democrats' view?
Oh, that's an easy answer. It's Donald Trump. You're talking about norms in the time of Donald Trump. It's also normal
right,
not
but
for you to tear
Democrats
down
have spent so much time arguing about how maintaining those norms is actually incredibly important in the face of Donald Trump. It's all out the window.
It's all out the window,
It's
Casey.
so crazy,
no,
man.
when you're dealing the time with Donald Trump, this is the man that is like extorting people. He's literally, breaking every rules. We're not going to go back and play by the norms when we know that what's on the line. What's on the line is 24 million people are going to have their insurance rates premiums doubled. That's a new thing, by the way. And the fact is the president and everyone expects us to play by these old norms.
Didn't Democrats kind of set that up in the bill that you passed, though, that these subsidies were going to expire?
When we passed the bills and back in the day as part of the Inflation Reduction Act, of course, we were trying to, maybe hope for the best that this country and our Republican colleagues would understand that raising insurance rates on people is a bad thing. I'm sorry they don't see it that way, but it's also not my job to make their job easier. My job is to make sure that the premiums of 24 million Americans does not double overnight. And if it makes it harder on the Republicans, that we're putting them in a very difficult position, that they have to answer for that, and hopefully it actually comes with a good outcome, which is Americans not having to pay higher premiums, then that's good. But I'm not going to abide by old norms, especially when you're dealing with this presidency, this administration, and how the Republicans themselves have been acting.
Speaking of norms, the conversation we were having earlier, this is on a different...
Isn't that crazy? I mean, you really see it, you know what I mean? At least for us, sitting back and watching these people just blame Trump for everything when he's the executive branch. He has nothing to do with this. And they're like, oh, well, he's, Mike Johnson said he's there to do the president's bidding, blah, blah, blah. It's still Congress, yo. And I thought that was a great follow-up question. But you guys were the ones that put the expiration date on Obamacare for these people. So what are you complaining about? You're the one that did this. Well, we were hoping for the best. That was his answer. Yeah, we were hoping Republicans would see the light of day that, these people have health insurance and everything's fine. No, everything's not fine. It's costing us an arm and a leg. It's costing us billions and billions of dollars. We can't afford it. And it's funny because it's called the Affordable Care Act. The Affordable Care Act isn't affordable. Go figure. I did a video on that on TikTok, and it was hilarious that everybody's going, they're trying to, skirt around the idea of, they don't want to acknowledge with their mouth that it is not affordable. It's so funny. They'll say everything else around it, and they'll basically say it's not affordable, but it's like, my follow-up is always, so it's not affordable then, but you said it was going to be affordable, but it's not. So you lied. So which is it? You lied and you always knew it wasn't going to be affordable. Like, how does that one work? So it's only affordable when you pay for it, folks. That's how it works. Gotcha. Well, we have here more updates on the hurricane just really quickly. It is bad, guys. It is very, very, very bad. This sucker was hitting over 185 miles an hour, and it will kind of fizzle out, hopefully. But Hurricane Melissa made landfall in western Jamaica earlier Tuesday afternoon as a Category 5 storm and the strongest ever to directly hit the Caribbean nation of 2.8 million people. Melissa made landfall near the town of New Hope, some 39 miles south of Montego Bay, packing maximum sustained winds of 185. No, it went over 185. It went over 185. The gust was insane. The gust was like 2 something. The U.S. National Hurricane Center said in its latest advisory, the most powerful level on the Simpson scale, Category 5, requires speeds of at least 157 miles an hour. And I don't know if I don't know if the feeling of that is kind of an exponential function. I'm not a meteorologist, kind of like Ketanji Brown Jackson. I'm not a biologist, but I can read data. I can look at things and have an opinion on it. The destruction could be unlike anything people in Jamaica have ever seen before. This is worse to put it this way. This is worse than Katrina, you guys. That's how you want to kind of look at it in terms of comparison, maybe for us here that have experienced something like this. Now, by experience doesn't mean I was there for Hurricane Katrina, but in terms of observing it, the island has taken nearly a direct hit from a Category 4 or 5 hurricane. No, it was a 5. Oh, it was. I don't know why we're bothered throwing 4 in here. It was a 5. It was a big dog. This is the third most intense hurricane observed in the Caribbean after Wilma in 2005 and Gilbert in 1988. What I was waiting for is a bunch of people to come out and say, well, global warming. It's climate change that caused this. But you can't do that because it's like, well, they saw one similar in 1988 and 2005. So what they're trying to do, just so you know, if you want to get ahead of the news headlines, they're saying, well, this is the biggest hurricane to ever happen this late in hurricane season. And when you see people always have to keep on adding on more variables to make it important and a big deal, and it is a big deal, right? Because it's going to wipe out freaking Jamaica, at least half of it. It's a huge deal. But when you try to attribute it to climate change and global warming and all this other stuff, and you have to keep tacking on things to make it part of your narrative, that's usually kind of a red flag. Like, all right, like at least it's a red flag. I'm like, well, I need to source this out, and I don't know if I'll listen to you, but I don't know if I want to go down that road. Matt Walsh has a great opinion piece here. Before we get there, though, if you can hit that like and subscribe button, folks, it really does help support the show a lot. I would never ask you to do that. And if you want to head over to baldbrad.com and make a donation, don't feel like you have to. It's just there for those that do. I have to plug my own stuff, folks. If I don't plug it, nobody else will. Maybe the moderators might. But, they volunteer their time. And again, let's give a shout out to the moderators here in both Rumble and YouTube. They volunteer, folks. They don't get paid. They don't get anything. They're just very generous people. And God bless them. They're great. And they're just good people. They really are. They make the chat, what it is. And so do you guys. So thank you. If you want to, though, it's there for you. You can do one-time donation. You can do multiple donations. You set it up how you want. But don't feel like you have to. It's just there those that want to give back and support the community. So God bless you. All righty. Here is Matt Walsh's EBT piece that I want to kind of break down really quickly, and hope you're okay with that. We're going to kind of go through it quickly because I want to get to some other stuff here. Ever since the government shutdown began a month ago, it's been a challenge to identify anyone in real life outside of government employees who have noticed or cared in any meaningful way, which is true. If we are able to go a month with the government shutdown and you don't notice anything, the question is that how important is government? Turns out not really. It's important on a certain level, but you don't need a massive government like we have to operate clearly. They've been depending most of their time, meaning Democrats, have been spending most of their time lately complaining about the renovations that are underway in the East Wing of the White House, which is kind of the thing you complain about when you desperately need to find something to complain about, but you have absolutely no other options whatsoever. Even if you normally don't care much about how the government spends their money, this is the kind of development that makes you sit up and take notice. There are road closures and potholes that have probably caused more inconvenience this month than the shutdown of the entire federal government. And as a result, for millions of Americans, it's now impossible to ignore the fact that the government you are forced to pay for, all of the salaries and all of the pensions and so on, doesn't actually do very much. In the vast majority of cases, the federal government has zero impact on your day-to-day life. Correct. Which is why the local government has more of a direct effect on you than the state and the federal government. It has always been that way, which is so odd that we keep wanting to give more power to the federal government and the state government than our actual local governments. And by the way, I don't want to give power to any of them. How about that? I want to be left the hell alone, and I want to be able to make my own damn decisions without the government climbing down my damn throat each and every day. Leave me alone, leave my friends alone, leave my fellow Americans alone, and allow us to live out that pursuit of happiness and liberties that was granted by us by our Lord and Savior. It says here, there are no public servants in the sense that you serve, in reality, you serve them. Of course, that's not to say that your money only goes to federal government bureaucrats. Most of it goes to welfare programs, correct. Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security. And it's the people who receive money from those welfare programs, particularly food stamps, otherwise known as SNAP benefits, who are now speaking up extremely loudly to complain about the federal government shutdown. And I like this because he's going to get into a few clips here that we'll kind of play in real time for you. Yes, you finally found a large group of people who are legitimately upset about the fact that the government is no longer fully operational. The search is over. And these people are upset because in a matter of days, quite literally in 2 days, federal funding for food stamps is going to run out.
Trump administration says it will not use emergency funds to pay for federal food benefits with a fast approaching deadline. CBS's Christina Fan is in New York with details on that. Christina.
Well, Jericho, 1 in 8 Americans rely on SNAP benefits, and tonight there is mounting worry for them. They might not be able to afford food with money running out 1 week from today.
I think people are starting to panic.
Food banks around the country are flashing warning signs.
We've been having about 7 to 10 new people a day this week.
Look at that. That was full this morning.
The pantry at Calvary Episcopal Church in Kentucky ran out of food for the first time in its 43-year history.
Wow.
We feel like this is the tip of the iceberg.
Members of the California National Guard are now deployed to help food banks in the state. In Massachusetts, 16% of residents rely on SNAP benefits.
Can I just mention something? Is that okay with you guys? You know what real journalism looks like? And I'm not saying this isn't real journalism. This is great. They're going there. They're talking to people on the ground. That's awesome. You know what should be going on? Why are you not going to businesses in the area and seeing if applications have seen an uptick? Work applications? That's the one I'm more than the going to the food banks. That's the one I want to know. If you know that you're about to lose your SNAP benefits and EBTs, and according to what I'm being told is your children are going to starve, wouldn't you be out there putting in job applications left and right? Like literally going into, they'll have like those like town centers that have a Walmart, Sam's Club, Chick-fil-A, In-N-Out, Islands Bar and Grill, like just the Home Depot. They'll have a Lowe's in there. I mean, they have everything. They got like 20 to 40 stores in this area. And you just do a chain and just hit every single one. You just put on a nice suit or polo and you just go in and put every single one. You talk to everybody. My question is, again, I would be curious if you've seen an uptick in job applications. Just wondering. Oh, I don't know why I'm taking these off. We got more to watch here. Jesus. It's odd.
Which provide an average of $187 a month, or about $6 a day. Democratic Governor Maura Healey holds President Trump responsible.
Leadership is a choice.
Dude, this is 3 clips in a row that you see Democrats blaming the president for this. I mean, does that not, I don't know how much I show you that they have Trump derangement syndrome, dude.
And sadly,
wow,
President Trump has chosen to take away food from people all around this country.
Insane, aboard Air Force One, President Trump told reporters he's not to blame.
Well, I'm going to let some other people talk to you. I'll have a comment on that later, but the Democrats are stopping it.
The sudden loss in federal food aid will ripple beyond homes into stores and businesses. Every dollar in SNAP benefits generates $1.54 in economic activity.
Quite a bit of our sales come from EBT recipients. Right now it's making up about 10 to 15% of our total sales a month.
10 to 15%. Okay, for those that don't know, on an accounting terms, that's high, dude. That is crazy. That is crazy. So if you look at it in terms of economics, supply and demand, there's people that are posting videos that it's not exciting when people get off EBTs and snaps, by the way. Just like if they're, and what I'm not talking about those that are fraudulently using it. I'm talking about those that, let's just talk about those that genuinely need it. Like they just need to get up off the ground a little bit. They're not going to stay on it for 8 years. They just need it right now. And they're legitimately getting like milk, eggs, and bread just for the sake of this. Like they're actually following it. We're not talking about those people. People are posting videos because they're actually excited to go to the grocery store because, again, that means grocery stores on average are going to be 10 to 15% less full because people can't go in there and take all the food. And when people can't buy the food and you have more of a supply than you do a demand, guess what happens to the prices of food and groceries? They come down. You got to sell the stuff. Or else what you're going to lose? You're going to lose that margin? You're going to lose that overhead? I don't know. So a lot of people are talking about this. People on EBTs create a greater demand for food and food. I guess services in a way. And if you don't have that anymore, guess what happens? The demand goes down and there's more supply, which means cheaper food for you.
And Democrats say they will not vote to reopen the government unless there is an extension of health care subsidies for millions of Americans, while Republicans say they want the government to reopen first before any negotiating.
You have a clean CR there. And Matt Walsh continues here. Notice the flagrant inversion of reality here. If you stop subsidizing someone else's grocery bill, even for a second, then according to the governor of Massachusetts, you are taking away their food. It's just like you rob them, basically. Of course, the actual robbery occurs when you're forced against your will to pay for someone else's groceries every month, and medical bills, and legal fees, and rental assistance, and education, and transportation. And yeah, I'm talking about illegal aliens. But the really striking aspect of the CBS report was the beginning of the segment when the casual mention that 1 in 8 Americans are on food stamps. Isn't that crazy? That's nearly 43 million people. We talked about this yesterday. 43 million people. That means every 1 in 8 people that you look at are on food stamps or EBTs and who are receiving taxpayer money to buy groceries costing more than $100 billion a year. Wow. In a country of 340 million. In a moment, we'll get to exactly what is receiving. I'm going to go through this whole thing. This is very intriguing and insightful for me. If you're not into it, you can turn away. But I'm going to finish this whole article because I'm actually enjoying this. In a moment, we'll get into what exactly or who exactly is receiving this money. That's what I want to know. Thank you, Matt. And what they're threatening to do in the next few days. It's important information, particularly if you plan on going to the grocery store in the near future without a firearm. Listen up, folks, because we said what they were going to do. And now we have it. But first, you have to ask yourself, did you have any idea that 43 million of the 340 million people in this country, again, 1 in 8, were receiving taxpayer-funded financial assistance to buy groceries? My answer is no, I didn't, Matt. I'm honest about it. I did not. The sheer scale of this program guarantees that if we eliminate the food stamp program entirely, then prices at the grocery store would plummet. Isn't that exactly what I said? And hand to God, you guys know I don't read these articles generally beforehand. It's just basic economics. This is by far the number one everyday issue that most Americans care about, the rising prices of groceries. And it has a very obvious solution. When the government spends a massive amount of money subsidizing the purchase of a particular product in any context, and the price of that product will go up. It was true for college tuition. It's true for groceries. The subsidy creates increased demand, but it doesn't increase supply. And therefore, the cost goes up under the basic principle of supply and demand, which is what we covered. Look at this. Food stamp spending has skyrocketed since 2019. Look at that, huh? Whoa, almost a $3 billion increase. So it's a $2 billion increase every single year, man. Jeez, dude. God. That's a lot of money. Month food supply spending was 4.5. It went up to 11 billion. Is this per month? Hold on a second here. Hold on a second. It's freaking for month, dude. By month. I thought that, dude, it took the air out of my lungs on a yearly basis. This is a monthly basis. I didn't read the fine print because I'm an idiot. That's wild, man. That is wild. $11 billion per month, dude. Just to put that in perspective, your mind can't even fathom how quickly that money would leave your hand. Second by second. By some estimates, food prices go up 1% for every 12% increase in food stamp spending. In this case, we're looking at a percentage increase of nearly 150%. So you could do the math on that. It's more than a 10% increase in your grocery bill every single month. Go figure that fraud, waste, and abuse would cause you to pay more. Do you know where you also see that? With your insurance and your premiums, just to let you know. It's more than a 10% increase in your grocery bill every single month. And you want to know what's also not even included in this? This is just those on EBTs and SNAP benefits, right? It doesn't even include the demand for groceries by illegal aliens to the tune of 25 million people. So it's not 43 million people. It's actually more than that, because now you're demanding and you're working against people that aren't supposed to be here in the first place, taking the food, and sometimes having a family of 4 or 5, which is going to increase the demand for food even more. So it's not 10%. It's probably close to 15% every single month. Oh, lovely. Oh, this is great. This is good news for all of us, isn't it? This means that if you're a working American like me that works multiple jobs and you aren't on food stamps, you're actually paying against your will for other people's groceries twice. Isn't this what I've mentioned? Is that not only are you paying for illegal aliens services across the board, but you're also paying for your fellow Americans that, again, some of them need it, and that's what that's there for. A lot of them don't. This is my conspiracy theory. I think a lot of these people on EBTs and food stamps and SNAP benefits don't actually need it. They can go out and get a job. Multiple jobs. They choose not to. They choose not to. They take it. Look at, you're paying when the government takes the money out of your paycheck. You're paying again every time you buy groceries for yourself. So who exactly is benefiting from food stamps, and how much of this spending is actually necessary? Put another way, how many people would starve to death on the streets if food stamps were abolished? I think it would be very, very small. Very small. We all know the number is much, much less than the total number of food stamp recipients in this country. But how much lower is it? 90%, 100%? If food stamps were abolished tomorrow, how many people exactly would end up lying on the sidewalk, rib cages protruding, starving to death? Over the 40 million people on food stamps, how many actually depend on it to live? That is my question, Matt. And I think virtually almost nobody. These questions we should probably answer, and maybe we'll find out, by the way, since it's going to close down in a couple days, and we'll get a good we'll actually see how things will function when people aren't able to use EBT and SNAPs. How are they going to survive? How are they going to get by? Because they got to do it somehow. They're starving. By the way, I've seen a lot of clips of these people overweight. Not everybody. Again, I am not talking about those that genuinely need it. I just think a lot of people don't. And now that we know the enormous cost of these programs, thanks to the government shutdown, and while we are at it, we answer this question. Has anyone ever starved to death in the modern history of this country because they haven't had access to food? Has a single sane person, through no fault of his own, shriveled and died because he couldn't afford to buy anything to eat? Has there been a single example of someone with no family, no friends, no other forms of state or federal welfare he can tap into, no food banks or churches he could visit, no panhandling he can perform, no job, no soup kitchen nearby, no charity food drives in this area, nothing at all? Matt makes a great point. And the problem with Democrats and just people that don't want to take responsibility in the first place is they will say he's unempathetic, he's cold-hearted, he doesn't have empathy. What about the children? What about the people? Well, what about other things he listed? So why is everybody else has to work really hard, but you don't? Again, I'm talking about those that are committing fraud, waste, and abuse that don't need to be on this in the first place. That's who I'm talking about. You got to keep reiterating this because some of these people just can't get it. If something like that were to ever happen in the United States, then I'd be the first in line to say, yeah, get that person a taxpayer-funded hot dog. But I don't actually think that's ever happened in my lifetime. And no one has demonstrated to me otherwise. In fact, if you look at the food stamp recipients are saying, in their words, you come away with the distinct impression that none of these people actually need food stamps. Instead, you come away with the impression that these people are simply entitled, lazy, barely literate, and frankly, just very bad people. I'm not saying that describes every adult on food stamps. Obviously, Matt, you don't even need to say that. We get it because we actually understand that you're not talking about everybody. But, when people are illiterate and they're stupid, they don't get that. But and by the way, there's a lot of people that don't get that. But it does seem to describe a lot of them, people who rather than get a job would prefer to rob a grocery store. So here we go. This is what Daddy wanted to show you.
All I know is if they stop my food stamps, me and my man will be at the grocery store walking out with two big ass carts. And ain't bet nobody better do nothing because my man coming hard behind me and it only take him one time to punch your ass.
By the way, I just want to point out she has $200 AirPods in her ears. I still use my wired ones that have the actual wires hanging out. You know what I'm talking about? They're so old. The wires at the bottom, because you bend it so much using it, were hanging out. Those are the ones I use. I make vastly more money than she does. I choose to live that way, though. I do. You want to know why? Because I manage and budget my money so that I don't have to rely on other people for it.
You know what?
And I said the people that donate to the show does not go into my pocket. It's not going into my groceries. It goes into the show because things here surprisingly are expensive, like hundreds and hundreds of dollars expensive.
Since they want to take food stamps away, I'm going to Walmart. I'm going to
By the way, I'm specifically talking about your donations. I want to be clear on that. I make money on the show outside of your donations. I don't spend your donation money on myself. That goes into the show. I have always been clear about that.
Up any damn thing I want, throw it right in the basket. I'm woman right about the move, get the way. I'm not paying for a damn thing. Y'all got me up. I ain't getting a food stamp on EBT. Oh, watch this.
I'm gonna tell y'all straight up like this. I just got that text that the link is definitely cut the off for November. Y'all better stay out of my way in these stores.
She has fake eyelashes and she's wearing jewelry.
I'm walking out with carts and I'm not paying for Trump, if you want
Not to mention she's overweight. She ain't starving, dude. She ain't, you ain't. I'm not poking fun at her, please. I'm not like trying to make fun of her. She's obese. Severely obese. She is eating a lot of food.
start moving. Oh, it's gonna happen.
Every person we've seen on here so far is obese. And I'd like to point out, I'm technically obese for my height.
My kids go broke in this jock. I'm gonna be stealing like it ain't no tomorrow.
I say if they don't give food stamps next month, we all just say and rob the grocery store and tell them make me a grill.
I just wanted to come real fast just to make this video, just to make something very, very clear to the white man. Black Americans do not care about your government shutdown, and Black Americans do not care about you taking away our EBT and our government assistance, because Black Americans never depended on the American government to take care of us and feed us, because we never could. We were never able to depend on the government, in spite of what you may say and what you may try to force us to believe. So you can sit back and you can mock, you can laugh, and you can think that you're about to starve us to death. But I'm here to let you know that we are going to eat regardless, even if we have to hunt you animals down and...
Whoa. 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 Yeah. I was looking at Miriam. I was waiting for you. I was waiting for you to say something. Oh, I gotta go back, dude. She's saying that she's calling Miriam. She's calling me an animal. I don't like that. For those that don't know, Miriam's black. Okay. And we love her. By the way, I've always said we have all races in our show. We don't care about people's race. So it's just like, yeah, your family, man. Like, fuck, who cares? Like, cool, you produce more melanin in your skin than I do. I don't give a shit. Like, you know what I mean? We got Hispanics, we got Asians, we got whites, we got blacks, we got, for all I know, we got some extraterrestrials in here. Hell, I don't know. All right, we're gonna let her finish because I think she's gonna talk about deleting us.
down and roast and eat you, the delectable crackers and cheese. We will make it happen if we have to. Trust and believe me.
People are really going to be stealing people carts of groceries out of the grocery parking lot. I'm telling you. It seems like it's headed that way.
Listen to this.
Now, what other choices are people going to have to find food to eat? Because people about to be out here struggling. They about to be out here bad. So do you really think they're going to look at you with all these groceries, packing it in your car, about to go home and feed your family from the, hard-earned money that you made from working your job that afforded you the affordability to buy those groceries? They ain't going to give a They ain't going to care. They gonna snatch them bags up out your hand and be like, I wish you would.
I'll tell you what. I live in Orange County, California. This is MAGA country. Fucking try it. Try to come to Orange County where everybody's packing. And we don't flaunt that. I guarantee you try it. If your life is worth some fucking Doritos, good luck, bud. Good luck. Because if you tried to attack me, even with my wife's around, you lost your life. I'm just going to be clear on that. If you tried to attack me and my wife is around, you've lost your life. That doesn't fly for me. There's really one main thing, because I pretty much am a very calm and stable guy. I know that I do a lot of entertainment. My rants seem like I'm really pissed off. I've always said that's for entertainment. There's really one thing that will trigger me to like just I can't stop, is when you threaten my family. I've always been like that, even with my parents. I'd play in like big crowds and I know exactly where my parents are sitting, and I get hyper aware if somebody's threatening my family, even when as a hockey player. And there's like I can't, and some of you know what I'm talking about. There's a rage that builds up inside you. If you threaten my family, you're fucking gone. And especially if you tried to rob me with my wife around, you're gone. There's no stopping. You're gone. And I say that because I get threats here quite often. You're fucking gone. I want to be clear by that. If you're watching this and you want to threaten me and you come near me, you're gone. And if that leads me to go to prison forever, it does. Because at least I know that my spouse is going to be safe. If your life is worth whatever's in my cart, so be it. So be it. I just want to be clear. Come to Orange County. Try to loot us. This is MAGA country. Good luck, dude. Good luck. There'll be a handwritten note to your family saying, yeah, that bag of Doritos that your son wanted or daughter wanted was more important than their life. I'm not going to get robbed. And I'm not going to get my ass kicked. And my wife's not going to get her ass kicked. And you're not going to threaten me like that. That ain't going to happen. Or I might just give you my shit and walk away. Here we go.
They all on my phone telling me we ain't gonna get our food stamps November. Let my shit not come on the 15th. Let my shit not come on the 15th, and I'm gonna show them why I went to jail twice.
Jesus.
I don't give a fuck. I'm not in the mood. My birthday is in December. Thanksgiving coming up. I don't see that what I'm saying? Cause my mama already had used my 150 this month. That's why I should never.
So fucking crazy, dude. Oh my. My birthday is in December. Oh, dude, I'm getting a headache. Oh my God. I needed that. I really did need that. Hold on. I'm sorry. I gotta watch this again. Just indulge me for a moment. This is mostly for me to, make my day better. Not that she's not getting food stamps and EBTs. I'm just laughing at the way she's talking and shit. She couldn't even put on clothes.
They all on my phone telling me we ain't gonna get our food stamps November.
Oh, motherfucker.
Let my shit not come on the 15th.
Oh, hell no. Don't you be letting my shit come on my 15th.
Let my shit not come on the 15th, and I'm gonna show them why I went to jail twice.
Oh, shit. Why would you be proud of that? It's a cultural thing. I'm not saying just for blacks. There's white people that act like this too. I don't know why they're so cool with going to jail. Oh, we're spending way longer than I wanted on this. Is there more? So one question off the bat is why someone who's been to prison is allowed to receive food stamps in the first place. Ooh, that's a good question, Matt. Why is this something we are tolerating? You can commit multiple crimes resulting in your incarceration, and then when you get out, you could force taxpayers to buy your groceries. That seems like a privileged thing we should rescind immediately.
No food stamps equals no to less weed money. Like, y'all about to have people out here hangry and sober. That's a diabolical combination. Because the food money got to come out of some budget, and that's the first one it usually comes from.
The one thing I find odd and weird, and I brought this up last time, was that there's no white people that are talking. And by the way, the reason why I'm finding this odd is because there's a lot of white people on EBTs and snaps. There's more white people on it than black people. There's a lot of Republicans that are on EBTs and food stamps. And by the way, my thinking does not change. You should probably not be on those. It's not for a long time. Again, it's only so you can eat, get by for a short period of time, get yourself together, and you might have to work multiple jobs and all this stuff and, move on. Can you imagine the horror of having to tap into your weed budget to buy food? It's just unthinkable, really. No one should have to endure a humiliation like that. Surely we should just steal the money from people who are actually working for a living. You can look at the saddest of sob stories and it doesn't get any better.
Federal workers waiting in long lines at this food bank in Southern Maryland.
I would have never thought in a million years.
By the way, she's driving a nicer car than me, like vastly nicer.
That I would have been in this position to have to go to a food bank.
Denise Blake says she...
Look at this car. It's a little bit of an older model, I can tell, because it's all the headlights are all faded out. This is a nice car.
He drove over an hour.
I haven't driven a car this nice, me personally, that I personally own, in almost 20 years.
To get here. When she finally arrived, they had run out of food.
We have a cart ready for you out front.
Fortunately, she did not leave empty-handed, but she still faces the harsh reality of not knowing how she's going to feed her family while she's not getting paid during the government shutdown.
I don't want my daughter to see me crying.
Blake's story is like so many others.
I'm in shock at how much food that is. I get that if you have kids, I totally get that. I'm trying to think. I don't know if I've ever had my grocery cart that full. My grocery, I've told you guys, I could tell you what I get at the grocery store every single week. I get a loaf of bread, maybe some bananas. I get 3 pounds of 93.7 turkey. That is $13.99 at the grocery store. And I get 2 taco seasonings. It's supposed to be 3 for 3 pounds, but I cut it short because they're $1 a piece. It's kind of pricey in my opinion. I get a Fairlife milk because it has a lot of protein. Activia yogurt, which is for gut health. I think that's it. That's it. Every week. And once I run out of turkey, that 3 pounds will last me usually till Friday. I can get by with maybe a salad or something like that on a Friday. That's it. That's what I spend. I'm being as serious as a heart attack. It doesn't mean that sometimes I don't splurge. Maybe sometimes I might buy like a little thing of like ice cream, like one of those Haagen-Dazs little samplers. I usually have 2 pizzas in the fridge for like, if like an emergency happens, like people want to come over last minute, make a pizza, or, Dodgers game. I just gave you my grocery bill. That is really it. I'm not kidding. I have a bag of rice that I eat with my turkey every day. I will right now in my bag right now before I go to work. I have an Oikos, an Activia, which is a protein drink. Well, that's what I buy at Costco, but that'll last me like almost a week or two. Oikos, 200 grams of turkey, 200 grams of rice, and vitamins. I legitimately eat that for lunch and dinner every single day. I don't have all this.
Blake's story is like so many others. We're waiting to get paid as Congress stalls to pass a new spending plan.
I haven't gotten a paycheck this month, so the free groceries is very important, very helpful.
More than 1 million federal workers are not receiving pay right now. Many miss their first full paycheck Friday, while others will feel the loss early next week, depending on the agency.
I feel you do feel bad for federal workers, but it's like your husband doesn't work, or maybe she's single. I don't know. Oh, geez, what do we got here? There's no conceivable way that Denise is going to starve to death either. If she's been financially reckless to the point of a comic book level absurdity, she doesn't need handouts to buy food. This is Felicia, a single mom of 4 who works up to 3 jobs a time to make ends meet. She counts on Snap to put food on the table.
I am a single mom of 4 who are ages 21, 17, 12, and 11. I would like to tell you my story on how SNAP benefit has helped me. Sorry.
Go ahead. You're doing good.
I know it's 7:02. Thank you. Thank you, Angel. God bless you. See, my people know. They know I'm supposed to be off right now, but I want to keep going just for a little bit. You guys take care of me. Thank you.
When I had my oldest daughter 21 years ago, I was working 3 jobs. One job alone, I had to pay child care. Another one to pay food, and which wasn't.
Earrings, hair dyed. She could have done that herself. But I don't mean to be rude, but she's obese and she's wearing like a lot of what looks to be like a lot of LGBTQ wristbands, but she's not starving. I don't like poking fun at people's weight. I actually do believe people struggle with that. It's more of, I think, a psychological thing than it is a physical thing, in the sense of it's not easy to lose weight. As somebody that gains weight very easily, it is hard to lose weight. I go running now. I think yesterday I ran like 4 miles, a little bit more than 4 miles. That was me running for an hour straight. It was 57 minutes and 18 seconds. It's not easy to lose weight, but you have to go do it.
Enough. And
watch what you eat.
one to pay the bills, and I still struggled a lot. Moving forward, I am now working a full-time job as a bus monitor. And I'm a driver who transports students to specialized schools in Kansas City. As an employee of the school district, I only get paid once a month. By the time I get my bills paid, I have nothing left to pay for food and other basic needs. If it wasn't for SNAP benefits, I wouldn't be able to feed my children or myself. I work, pay my bills, and like every other mom, I want to be sure that I have enough food to put on the table.
At least she has a job. I'm just trying to find something positive, because that's crazy. So, in case you can't make it, Janet Mills acknowledges in this document that Maine provides SNAP benefits to non-citizens, including 5,000 non-citizens with EBTs who don't have jobs, even though they're eligible to work. And EBT cards are very valuable. So we have that here for you. Wow. It just builds that I don't blow smoke up your guys' you know what. Doesn't it build a little bit of credibility to the fact that I said that you are paying for illegal immigrants' health care, you're paying for their rental assistance, you're paying for their transportation, you're paying for their legal services, you're paying for their education, you're paying for their food. And so no wonder you're feeling a pinch in your budget, is because not only are you fully funding other people's families' lifestyles, but you're also funding Americans' lifestyles that are fully capable of working. And they're clearly not starving. We haven't seen one video yet. And by the way, I mean this, I've looked for it. The last few days, I've looked for videos going, yo, that person's starving. Like, they need to be on EBTs. That person ain't getting food. It doesn't exist, man. And maybe you'll find one out of 43 million people. You're going to find one that ain't, no. Mm-mm. And all you did was justify that one person gets it. So look at this Dollar Tree card. This is a migrant EBT food balance, allegedly. So what do we got here? Oh, it's so hard to. Is that a 12-pack of beer? What is that? Vam Bar 12-pack, classic meat Frank's thick bologna. Whoa, dude! Look at what? That can't be right. Has anybody ever been on EBTs before in the chat? I've never. So $18, but look at the EBT food balance. $7,612? No way. No way. That has to be for the store, right? Like, that has to be for this Dollar Tree only allows up to, say, like $8,000 of EBTs to be used at their store, right? There's no way your balance is $7,612. Does he cover that? An illegal in the U.S. reportedly left behind a receipt showing 13,000 of EBT food stamp balance and over 4K EBT cash balance. What? Look at that. That's not for the month, right? That 13,000 has to be for the entire year, correct? I'm sorry, I didn't know this. This is shocking to me. There's no reason for me to know it. Wow.
I can tell you personally that when I worked at the grocery store and I cashed them out, the receipts were alarming. $13,000 on EBT food, not including the $29,000 that was on EBT cash. It's infuriating. Yes, sir.
So they're not getting 600.
And while they're dressed very well, how are you able to dress like that? Coming over here as running for help that we're supposedly helping them, how are you dressed like that when we, the American people, are scrapping for the next set of work boots?
Yeah.
That's a problem. That's a serious problem.
Wow. Now, you got to take it with a grain of salt that I don't know how you know that person's illegal or whatever, but still a lot of money, dude. Additionally, food stamp use by Afghan households increased the most from 19%. There was a, let me see if I could show this. Yeah, here we, no. There's a graph that I had. Okay, I don't have it here, but I'll show you, and then that's the last thing I'll show you. There's a, let me see if I can scroll through my feed here. There was something I reposted. Here we go, right here. New food stamp usage by ethnicity is shocking. Nearly half of Afghan and Somali households are on welfare, while Americans who built this country rank near the bottom. Look at this. It goes, Afghan makes up basically 46% of all those on SNAP benefits right now. And then Somali, percentage of U.S. households receiving SNAP. Yeah, the percentages are a little odd. That must be of all Afghans. Not because the percentages don't work out. Somali 42, Iraqi, Dominican, Caribbean, Native, Puerto Rican, Cuban, Black, Arab. No, there's no way that 25% of Black people are on snaps. I got to figure out how they did these percentages. Maybe somebody in the chat can help me out with that. I don't know if Jeff's good with numbers in here. Jeez, dude. Yeah, there's no way 25% of Black people are on snaps. Is that real? Because it doesn't make sense because it's 8%. Well, there's more white people, 8.6%. Maybe. I'll have to look at these numbers. That's if that is real, that is nuts, man. That can't be right. I'm looking at I have to be looking at these numbers wrong. Alrighty. Well, I'm also in a rush because I gotta get back to work. Or I have to go back to work. I have to go to work. Thanks for everybody for hanging out. I actually, I learned a lot, and hopefully, I'm sorry they got maybe kind of boring, but I learned a lot on this EBT stuff, and it's kind of what Karen wrote. There's a rabbit hole I think that we got to go down here on this EBT thing, dude. I really, my mind, I'm actually blown away. I knew it was bad, but I didn't know it was like that bad, dude. That's nuts, and no wonder we're all in a pinch. Like I'm not going to say I'm in a pinch. I follow Dave Ramsey very, very, very closely, but I also live a very frugal life. I don't need to go down that again. You guys already know that. And this is not something to be like proud about. This is just the way I like to live my life. I live frugal, and I don't need a bunch of stuff. I'm not a materialistic type of guy. We've had the same hat for 5 years. Could I go buy a new hat? Yes, I can go buy a new hat. There's no need. It works. Well, always appreciate you hanging out with me. Thanks again to the moderators. You guys, a big shout out to all of you. God bless you. Shout out to all the patriots. Thank you to everybody that donated. Thank you to all your hard-earned money going to this when, you could go spend it other places. Thank you for always contributing, supporting me and the show. Follow me on TikTok, follow me on X, follow me on Rumble, follow me if you can follow me everywhere. And man, only about a couple more months before the year ends and we're into a whole new year. February will hit 5 years of doing the Bald Brad Show. 5 years of doing this show. That's crazy. With that being said, pray for this country, pray for Donald Trump, pray for Charlie Kirk and his family. Pray for everybody, really, even our enemies. And make sure you read your Bible, your scripture. Just open it up, get the Bible app. It's free. And just read a sentence. Read a sentence and pray and just see if your day is better. And pray for those that in Congress can get wisdom and maybe the heavens can grant them some sort of sanity. That'd be nice, too. I'll see you later here on the Bald Brad Show. Take care, Patriots.